Over the years, I have seen couples do some of the most unusual things, live in ways that I think are so strange. When I was a young girl, my grandparents slept in the same room but in separate beds. I thought that was the oddest thing in the world. And I said to my grandmother, "Why do you sleep in a different bed than grandpa?" And grandmom was like, "Grandpa stinks." This is what she told me. She said he stinks. And basically, flatulence. He had gas. He was a gassy person. And she did not like being in the bed with him farting all night. Bottom line. This is what she said. And I was cracking up. I know other couples that have separate rooms, which I kind of dig actually, but they have separate rooms and they come to each other's room to, have some fun and they go back in their room. So I know couples that make a lot of different strange things work. And I've seen it time and time again. So I have a question today about couples and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you my opinion, and then you let me know in the comment section what you think about this unusual setup for a couple. So I am Queen Aset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who might like it too. Please leave us a positive comment in the comment section and stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to read 2 positive comments from previous videos and one of them might be yours. Also, check out underneath this video because I left underneath there my social media. I left my Patreon, my PayPal in case you want to send the channel a donation. Thank you for everybody who sent donations. What else is under there? My Amazon wish list, which is really cool. Let me see. And also, Ask an Aquarius merchandise is underneath this video. So check it out. So yeah, let me tell you today's question. Today's question came from one of our long-term subscribers, an Aquarius, and he said, "Can a marriage survive living in separate homes?" Okay, so different homes. Now, this is the thing about this. I know people in separate houses. I know couples who have their own place. I know couples and they're actually married. And I know another married couple that lives in 2 different parts of the country. One lives in New York and the other one lives in Las Vegas. And it's basically work related. I know couples all over the world that do this. I know a man who is from Jamaica and he moved to New York City to make some money and then ships the money back to Jamaica. And his wife and kids are still in Jamaica. And every couple of months he goes to Jamaica. So a lot of people have these kind of situations. I knew a woman once who was in a relationship with this guy. I don't know why, because he was like totally useless, but he would come be with her for 3 months out of the year. And the other months, he was with his other families. He had 4 or 5 other families. So every couple of months, he would be with one of the families. And this does not work for me. Quite frankly, different houses could work, but that last one would not work. So what do I think about a couple surviving? I think that some couples could. But I think the majority of most couples probably would not like this because most people I know, they want to spend time with their significant other, their husband, their wife. They want to spend time. They want to sit on the porch and drink tea together. They want to have dinner together. They want to experience their life together, not when you want to come over. That's a boyfriend. That's a girlfriend. That's a, entanglement, a fuck buddy. That's one of those. A husband or a wife, most people are going to want to be living together. Now, me personally, because I'm an Aquarius, I think some Aquarius could deal with this. I think some Aquarius would even like this. Because as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking to myself, what if my significant other had the apartment across the hall, for example? I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's right there. You know, we can have dinner together. We can sit on the porch together. We can do any of these things together. We can have sex, take showers, whatever. And they can go back next door. Or vice versa. I can go over there. So for me, it wouldn't be a problem. I actually think it would be fun because this way I could decorate however I wanted to. I can do whatever I wanted to. And when I don't want to be bothered, I can send her home. When I don't want to be bothered, I can be like, all right, look, you got to go next door. So I think for me, I would like it. If I was tired or if I have to work or whatever the case is. And when I'm working, you got to be quiet because I'm doing readings or I'm doing classes. So you can't be in here making noise, slamming dishes, and that kind of thing. So they would be better off in their own place where they can make as much noise as they want. And when I'm done, we can hang out. So for me, and I think for a lot of Aquarius, let me know. I think some of us, as long as it wasn't too far away, I think some of us might be able to deal with this. And then the other couples, which I think would be the majority, I think the majority of most couples will find this to be problematic for the reasons that I stated earlier. So it really does just depend on what the situation is. Also, another problem I'm going to spit out there is infidelity. A lot of the couples I know who don't live in the same home struggle with infidelity, either one or both of them. And some of these couples that I knew earlier in my life have broken up because of it. Because what happens is that you're not with your significant other and you get lonely. I knew a couple that was, the gentleman was in school in California. Okay. And the idea was that he was supposed to finish school and then come back to where they were living at on the East Coast. So whenever he was in school, he was messing around, seeing other women, going to Vegas to the houses, those special houses. Those, what the old heads would call a house of ill repute, what I think is called a brothel or something like that. I don't know the technical term, but he was visiting those in Vegas. So she found out about this later, of course. So some people struggle with fidelity in these situations because they don't mind the distance, but they get lonely or they lack integrity or they have a sex addiction. Something else can go on in those situations. So some people deal with that. But the one couple I was talking about earlier, and I said one lives in New York or somewhere near New York, the other one lives on the West Coast. That particular couple is in an open relationship. So when I had this conversation with that couple, they told me because they're in an open relationship, they don't really deal with problems with infidelity. They can see whoever they want to see as long as they don't disrespect the relationship. And all of these years, they've been in these two different places for work all of these years. And recently they were talking about one of them wants to retire and was talking about moving to the West Coast with the other one. And I was like, I wonder how that's going to work out since for the majority of their relationship, they've only spent about 3 days out of the month together for years and years and years. So I'm like, I wonder how is it going to work out now that they will be under the same roof. But that's what they're talking about. So I think that it could work for some people, but I think most people aren't going to want to do this. I'm thinking more and more about it, and I'm just like, wow, this sounds really cool, Like, I saw this movie one time, and the movie was about Frida Kahlo. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She was a Mexican artist married to a Mexican artist who was also a cheater, by the way. And one of the things I noticed from the movie was they had 2 different houses, but their houses were connected by this stairway that went across so they could go see each other whenever they wanted to. So, they did it, and I'm sure other couples have done it too. And he lived right next door and was still cheating. So I don't think distance really makes a difference in that case. But I just found it to be interesting because she said that he was sloppy. He was a sloppy person. His paints were all over the place. And in the movie, you could see it. If the home looked anything like his real home, And I guess it was supposed to be somewhat of a replica, but it was paint everywhere and canvases, and it was just stuff everywhere. And she kept her space neat and clean and had flowers on the table and everything. So I could see her not wanting to live with a slob, And many people have this problem, but most of us just deal with it. We either clean up behind them or we nag them about it or whatever the case is. But in her case, she, they had enough money, so she just got her own home and had it attached, had a stairway to adjoin both buildings. So yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot, but I just don't think most people would go for it. So you let me know in the comment section, what do you think about living separately from your husband or wife? All right, now we're going to look at some positive comments. Bonnie Coder, I think that's Bonnie Coder, I think. Hey Bonnie, how you doing? Bonnie said, you got a beautiful face. Thank you so much. I look just like my father and my grandmother. So this is a family face. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Now we have Luz Lopez. What's up, Luz? My girl, what's up? Luz said, so true. I look at everything. I was one a date time, and this guy was so rude. Oh, I was on a date. My bad. She said, I was on a date one time, and this guy was so rude to the waitress that accidentally confused our order. Then he was rude about how long they took with his drink. I know I wasn't into him, so I insisted on paying for my half of the bill, and I never saw him again. I wouldn't have paid for my half of the bill. After I sat there and put up with him, he would have paid for my time after I sat there and put up with him ignorant behind. But yeah, I mean, when you go out with somebody and they're rude to the servers, that says a lot about their character. To me, it shows like an ego thing, like you looking down on people, And I could see the nurse, the waitress made some mistakes here, and I could see him complaining or even being, upset about it. But to be rude to her and take it to that level is not the way to go. I just would have talked to her supervisor, or if it wasn't that bad, it would have just came out of her tip. I tip based on how you behave. So if you behave extremely well, I tip extremely well. If you don't behave extremely well, I don't tip extremely well. To me, that's just the bottom line. So I just would have dealt with it with her tip. I wouldn't have even got nasty about it. I've always been like that with servers, It's like, look, if you want this money, because I used to be a server. I've served many times. I worked at IHOP. I worked at a bar. I've worked at different places like that. I've even bartended a few times for little events, little stripper events and stuff like that. So I know the importance of hospitality if you're trying to get that paper. Okay, so if you at work acting a fool and you can't get my order right, you can't get my drink right, I assume you don't want my paper. No big deal. I'll keep it. Somebody else wants it. All right, guys, you come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.